Hey everyone, good evening. It's Richard. Normally I would say it's Monday at 8 o'clock, but clearly it isn't. It's Wednesday at 8 o'clock. It's really good to see you. Thank you for joining me. And whilst you all get yourself sorted, I'm just going to get myself sorted too so I can see comments on here. Let me just open this up. There it is. There we go. We're all good. Yeah, welcome Wednesday. I know we had to juggle things around a bit this week. So where was I? I was living it up, luxury lifestyle of a speaker on the Isle of Wight. Now I'm not knocking the Isle of Wight for any of you that take that personally. I was working for a couple of days on the island, and no Wi-Fi, zilch, zero, nothing. So Facebook Live was not going to happen. So I'm sorry about that, guys. For those of you that cancelled your Monday night arrangements to be with me, God damn it. So anyway, it's good to have you here now. I hope you've had a great Wednesday, middle of the week. Bit windy in the UK. Tell me what it was like where you are. Tell me wind or no wind. But it was we were in a bit of a windy city thing today. Hence, you know, my hair always looks much better than this, but today, no, it's looking a little bit ropey, a bit windswept. So, yeah, so tonight we are talking all about, excuse me, I've got a hair in my mouth. We are talking about the movie of your life, movies and the movie of your life. When I was 9 years old, and I know I've talked about this before on odd occasions, I had an experience of going to the theatre. I saw a piece of music, a piece of drama. It was the musical Barnum with Michael Crawford, and it was a massive life-changing moment for me. It sparked all kinds of things in my world. It ignited something inside of me, a sense that I had to go and be a part of that thing. And the story and the drama, actually, I lived through that for years. I lived that story in my head. For those of you that have seen The Greatest Showman, which is now the film version of Phineas T. Barnum, will know in there the story about his kind of tapping into something magic, his vision, his idea for creating great things, this mission that he was on, following kind of real true north purpose stuff. That was where I was at 9 or 10 years old. I had no sense what was at the end of it, but it was had a tremendous impact on my life. And when we went back to see The Greatest Showman a few months ago, and have since watched it on the internet probably 500 times, it kind of means I relived that whole thing again. I relived that whole moment. I relived that 9 years old piece, and it still ignites something in me. And so movies, I think, have a very significant role in our life, as does theatre and music, and the arts do. They are there to kind of touch our soul and massage our soul and connect with us and give us alternative versions, upgrades that we can make, different stories, a different lens to look through. So movies have an incredibly powerful vehicle for us to think about our life and think about the businesses that we run. So quite a few years ago, I first was actually given a copy of Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces. If you haven't read it, it's quite it's a pretty groovy big book. And I know that, I don't know, I'm just looking over here to see who's on. I know that Sharon posted earlier, if you're on, Sharon is reading The Hero with a Thousand Faces at the moment. It's a bloody brilliant book. It's a bit epic. It's like a big doorstop thing. But it is a brilliant book. And if you haven't read the whole book, you may well have touched on some of Joseph Campbell's work about the hero's journey. And all of his work in the hero's journey, actually, when I read the book, I kind of was very aware that the story of the hero's journey crops up in our everyday life all the time, and it crops up in the movies that we watch. Like literally every single movie will have the journey of the hero running throughout it, whether that's Star Wars or The Matrix or Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or any of the classic carry-on films. They are brilliant examples of the hero's journey. Maybe not. Maybe they are. I don't know. That's where the elements sit. The core elements sit there. So what I want to do is I want to just invite you to have a look at the hero's journey. and invite you to think about how the movie in your life is currently running, is playing out. Are you playing that lead role in it? Are you playing an extra part in it? Is it the movie that you want it to be? And actually, whereabouts are you in your movie journey? And in terms of what's next. So I'm going to just check in on the comments. Excuse me, because I can't do all of this. I can't do film and slides and comments at the same time. So I've got them up on my iPad. I thought, Jack, you were saying for a second that I was having a bad hair day, but you're obviously referring to yourself, which is fine, which is all good. So look, I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to open up the first slide, which is going to be this one. And we're just going to talk about this for a minute. If I can get the little boxes to work, there we go. So, so this is the core overview steps of the hero's journey. This is what makes up the hero's journey. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit more detail in a moment, but basically there are these 5 steps. If you read the whole book, you'll see that there are probably 13, 14, 15 core steps. So I've just taken some the high level stages. So at the very beginning, there is always the answering a call to adventure. That moment arrives, that calling arrives, there is an opportunity to act, something we see on the horizon, something we see in the distance, something we spot as a spark of interest, as something that we are compelled to respond to. Once we've got that piece, there is then the first step about how do we take action, how do we react to that, how do we respond, how do we move closer to it, how do we begin to play a part and contribute to that adventure that sits out there. Once we've stepped in, we start to experience a series of challenges, but we get that very first challenge, which is about that recognition piece of, can I step up to this? Can I rise up to this? We tackle it on. It's an incredibly brave and courageous time to take that challenge and begin to tackle it. And as ever, with one challenge, we rise up and there will be another test, and we rise up and there is another test. And we will ultimately hit a point in it where that transformation starts to bed down for us, and we are able to, it's a place where we start to find our flow, where the character, whether that's in a movie or whether that's ourselves, finds their feet, finds their balance point, finds their space where the journey moves, and they have some control, and they are much more in the driving seat with what's going on. There is forever the test, as we know the universe is wonderful at doing. And within that transformation piece, we get to the point where we eventually do our full circle, and we return to home, and we return to our base point, of course, never the same, with new learning and with shifts in our system. And then we repeat. And so we go on. There is the next adventure, whatever that might be, greater, smaller, bigger, uglier, hairier, that we will take the first step, maybe, and move into. So, I'm going to show you another slide in a minute, which goes into the model in a bit more detail. And what I want to do first is just get rid of that so I can come back to stop sharing and you can see me again. So look, what I want to hear from you is in the comments, whether you're live or on catch up, it's all good. So if your life was a movie at the moment, which one would it be? Tell me, I'm interested. Which movie would it be? If you could describe your life right now as a movie, what would it be? Now, I kind of wrestled with this a bit today because I think there are a few things going on. I had a few moments this week that literally were carry-on films, just the most bizarre scenarios. Some of that was client work, some of that wasn't. But at the moment, I think for those of you that have seen the film Limitless with Bradley Cooper, which is about this pill he takes that then gives him this extraordinary power and talent, and something incredible is unleashed. And of course, the more he has it, the more he wants, and the more he needs, and the bigger he gets, and the better he gets. And it's an incredible film. But my life does feel a bit like that, and I think so much so that I decided to name our membership site Limitless. So what better way when you are watching a movie and getting inspiration from a movie to steal something from it? And I stole the title. No, I didn't really steal the title, but it's a good title, right? So for those of you who haven't seen the film Limitless with Bradley Cooper, check it out because it's a really good one to watch. And who's going to tell me? Who's going to tell me what movie, if they were to describe your life as a movie right now, what would you describe? Kelly, you've got mail. it's like the story of how we met. Ah, it is. And she says she thinks I look like Bradley Cooper. That's very kind. What do you want? What is it that you want by saying that? I think there was a phase where I looked a little bit like Bradley Cooper in low light, but I think Jack's seen it. It's a good movie. Yeah, it's a good movie. Hey, mother-in-law's on. That's always good. Sharon, good to have you here. You're at the stage 3. Hero is reluctant at first. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a moment. Nice. So keep commenting if you're on. I'm really curious to hear if you could describe your life as a movie right now. What movie would you be saying it's like? I'm really interested to hear what my mother-in-law is going to say. Fascinated, in fact, what she's going to come up with, even more so since I've been a part of her life. Make it a nice one is all I'm saying, mother-in-law. So what I hear a lot, and this is in corporate space, and this is also in the smaller businesses that I work with and the entrepreneurs, is that I hear time and time again people in business saying to me, if only I'd have known this was coming, if only I'd had that ability to almost peer around a corner and see what was going to happen, and then I could prepare for it and could be one step ahead. And what I think Hero's Journey offers us is a brilliant framework for being able to make sense of how we prepare for what is ahead. And that comes about by identifying the stage we're at within the hero's journey, being able to see what is the next step, because actually the hero's journey runs pretty true to form, is pretty predictable. So we can work out where we are, we can understand then what is the next piece, what's the next scene in the movie, and therefore how do we best prepare for it? How do we best prepare? That's about preparing our mindset, ensuring we've got the resources we need, the skills we need, the support we need, so that we can handle it, so that we can tackle it and take it on. So any more comments? Jack, I need more time to think of a good movie. There's too many funny options. Yeah, I hear. As soon as you've got it, pop it in the comments, because I am curious to know. So I'm going to go back to sharing screen. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to go to this one, and then I'm going to press play. So there we go. There's the map of the hero's journey. So okay, so the first stage of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the 5 steps in this, and I'm also going to talk in there about how you might be feeling at each stage. The feeling piece is really important, so that we're able ourselves to tap into the emotions that come with the movie of our life, whether this is our own personal life, whether this is the movie we're running out in our business. I want you to understand those steps, but I want to tap into it through how you might be feeling at each stage. So I'm going to talk a bit about that, and you can identify where you're at, and then what it is you need to do so you can get a sense of what's coming next. But how do you best work this stage of the story that you're currently at? So the first step in there is about the quest, which is the understanding what your goal is. And the quest often comes about in lots of different guises, very often when we least expect it. And a client I'm working with, a coaching client, and we have predicted for a while that the challenges that can come when we just teeter on the edge of overwhelm, and they just, in the last week, a few things have collapsed and toppled around them because they didn't quite pull things together in time. They didn't get enough of what was required around them. They didn't catch it in time. It actually, the place of overwhelm had got so extreme for them. And even though they just know there's a little bit more in the system, so therefore they keep going and they keep pushing a bit more, and with extraordinary capacity just to give more and find more energy and normalize it and make it okay. And then at some point, ping, something snaps and something gives. And actually, in the last week or so, they've become quite unwell. And of course, it's now having a massive impact on not just their personal life, but on their family and on their role at work and their teams. And probably the next 3 to 6 months of their business. So it often comes about, our quest and our spotting the adventure often comes about through some kind of trauma, and that might be ill health, it might be some kind of message, it might often be, I often see this come about when we lose people that are close to us. So we experience this trauma and something massively jolts our world, and we are forced to look through a different lens, and we are forced to ask ourselves some tough questions, and we kind of get that jolt, and we're compelled to take a different action. Sometimes they might be to get fit, to lose weight, to improve a skill, or improve a skill within our business. But it's, for some people, it will be that they wake up to this new purpose, and that can happen, right? We get our calling, we see what our calling is. Suddenly things stack up and make sense, and we get it. And literally from one day to the next, we wake up and the penny drops. The penny drops of what we've been doing in terms of, does that feed our purpose, or actually what we could do that's going to fully meet our purpose. So at this point, there's often a feeling of, it's kind of real mixed feelings. And I know I've hit this point quite a lot in my life. I've hit it in the last year or so, certainly around some of my, some of the business and BTFI, and where I'm spending my energy, and the next chapter for me. But at this point, it's often a feeling of, it's a combination of the real excitement, but at the same time, that apprehension and nervousness. So that anticipation, it's like, because there are so many unknowns, but we also know that something's falling into place. There's some kind of real true fire in our belly, because something at last feels right for us. And often in there is, when we get that combination of that excitement and that anxiety, there's that huge motivation and determination to be curious, to step in, to want to know what is there. And that's the compelling piece. If there isn't enough of the motivation and the excitement, then the anxiety and the nervousness and the what ifs will take hold, and we'll end up often taking no action. When the motivation and the determination to step one step closer into it is there, then we begin to pursue it. And the action required at this point is about taking that very first step. And that might be tiny. It might be the ever so small, committed 1 degree step that we take into it, to explore the possibility, to explore the idea. And this is about, it's real stretch of comfort zone at this point. Okay, it's real pushing of boundaries and pushing at the edge in order to take that first step. So once we've taken that first step, you see we move into that next stage of growth and development. And very often what I see is people step into this point, and they start to, they've kind of absorbed the idea that this is going to be this is their thing, and they've stepped into it, and they've owned it, and they've taken that first step, and they've maybe taken another step and another step. And it feels like they're starting to find their flow, and they're also starting to learn and discover what they know that they have that is going to work, but also where some of the gaps are, and where some of the blind spots are. And very often at this point, people start to feel a little bit into overwhelm, and the enormity of what they've taken on, and actually some stretch, because it's like everything becomes new. The new skills we're having to test out, we're having to, it's that real, unconscious competence and kind of conscious competence, where we have to work incredibly hard to be good and reliable and decent and produce stuff. We have to do a lot of thinking, and it requires a lot of effort and a lot of discipline. So it's often quite an uncomfortable place. And one of the keys to moving through our growth and development stage is about, do we have the right support around us, and where do we need to look for? Where do we need to look to for some coaching, for some support, for a mentor, for someone that will help us guide us through, and also fast track some of the pain that happens in this stage, that we can sit with the pain, but then we just keep moving. And that might be, we find that support, I guess, in lots of guys, as say, coaches, mentors. It might be support groups. It might be online tribes. It might be like the BTFI tribe. It might be other tribes that you turn to. It might be family. It might be friends. It might be people that you know that have done this thing before. There are so many outlets, but this is a really important time to help prop us up, help keep us on track, help to continue to challenge us, to push the learning in, to give us that external perspective, and to keep us up on the shitty days. So this is a massive phase of learning at the growth and development stage. And we then move into what we've called the pressure zone. And this is an incredibly testing time. So this is, at this point, they've discovered their quest, they've taken it on, they're growing. And what happens at this point is, we know, because we're starting to find our feet in the pressure zone, which is why then the pressure pops, because we're starting to find our flow, and the pieces of the puzzle are beginning to fall together. But as we always know, once we start to get into this stage in life, and we begin to build a bit of confidence, and we begin to build a bit of belief that it's okay and we've kind of got it, and we perhaps start to let go a tiny bit, the universe gives us another wallop, because the universe wants to be doubly sure, triply sure that we've got it, that we want it enough. So that test is going to appear. The test will be consistent. The test will appear to go, do you want this thing enough? How much do you really want it? And this is the point, certainly for businesses, where a lot of businesses fail because people give up. They walk away from this point because actually they've started to build up and they've started to have some successes and some wins, and they're seeing things begin to come to fruition. And the universe tests them, and the test becomes too much. And the test becomes overwhelming, because this maybe isn't days or weeks, this might be a year or two down the line when things start to flourish for us, and we're starting to find our place. And the test comes and we're not fully prepared for the test. And the benefit of understanding the hero's journey is that we can know what's ahead. So when we get into the stage of the growth and development place of finding our feet and stuff's working and we've got support and we're encouraged, we're having some successes, that we need to know the test is around the corner. The universe is going to prod us and jolt us to make sure we are doing the thing, that we are following the right path, that we are doing it authentically. So it's a real check and balance. The pain that comes with the test is there as a signpost. It's there for us to check. It's there for us to get some learning. It's there for us to, it pulls our focus into the areas that we still need to pay more attention to and give more energy to. And the key to getting out of this step, I guess, and moving through it is ensuring that you are fully emotionally committed to your quest. It's that very question, do you want it enough? Enough, because there's still more challenge in the system. There's still more learning to come. There's still going to be more dips. So the importance of surrounding yourself with support, having people around you that will catch you, that will have your back, that will offer you the tough love. And moving through the pressure zone, we fall into this place of transformation, where there will still be more tests, but actually there's something a bit more bedded down. This is a place of kind of the unconscious competence, where actually it's working. We're finding our way. We are much more in our flow. And this is also an incredibly important phase, because this is where you've done a lot of the work, and a lot of what you have built is coming to fruition. You've passed the tests. You feel like you're building confidence. And also people can start to get into a space of coasting at this point, getting a bit more comfortable. Now, when I talk about the journey from good to extraordinary, for me, this transformation place, what happens at that zone is that's often about the good stuff, where actually we're doing a lot of stuff that is working, is good, is reliable. We're getting business, we're adding value, we're making a difference, we're delivering on what we committed. Still stuff is coming our way. And this is a really important point, that we keep our attention and focus on it, because this is often where we lift our focus, because we go, it's all good. It's all good, so we can sit back. This is an incredibly important stage for understanding and checking where we need to release and let go. So where are there habits that are still hanging around that get in our way? Where are there narratives? What part of our story still continues to get in our way? And where do we need to edit the story? It's our story, so we can edit it. We can cut bits out. We can delete bits. We can alter the story. We can alter the next path. We can alter the next chapter. So it's this piece in transformation about being able to discard old ways. It's about adapt. It's about evolve. It's the upgrade piece, that one degree upgrade, that being consistent with that. Remember, I talk about Phantom, that question they ask every night about how do we do this thing better today than we did it yesterday. This is incredibly important at this stage, because this is the good to extraordinary journey. This is where we start to build something that is game-changing, but it's incredibly easy to get distracted here. So the importance at the transformation stage about staying focused, about remembering the quest, the purpose piece, the path you are following, and that check and balance again of, am I still on course? Am I still delivering where this initial excitement came from, where the fire was burning in your gut? Is that what you're still following? And where do you need to keep evolving? So noticing that this point can often become quite comfortable for people. And then we've got this next phase, which is about the pay it forward bit. So aligned, in the flow, it's happening, it's working, the cruise control, we're delivering. There's still that awareness of adaptation and upgrade and forever evolving and evolving at pace. And the pay it forward piece is about what I hear from people that run their own businesses is that they tell me when they get to this stage, it's like to the outside world or on a piece of paper, their business looks brilliant. It's really great. And people go, wow, you've built such a brilliant business. So it looks great to the outside world, but there is still something inside that is not fully fulfilled, that is not fully illuminated, that it's kind of that piece of our natural psychological progression in life where we kind of let go of our own stuff, and the focus is on something much bigger than ourselves and how we show up and live a life of service and in service of others, and how do we make a difference to something that is much bigger than us. So the key here is about how do we start to look out? How do we start to look beyond? How do we begin to pay it forward? And that can come in lots of ways. I mean, this is how do you share your wisdom on? How do you share your wisdom with others? How do you help others learn and build their businesses and learn from your mistakes and learn from your successes? That might be mentoring people, it might be writing a book, it might be sponsoring someone to set up a business, it might be investing in another business. How do you begin to look outside of yourself so there is a very different sense of purpose in your life and kind of that fulfillment at a very different level? It could be something that you consider spending your free time completely differently, something charitable, something traveling to offer services and wisdom and your energy to other parts of the world, so you get to experience more, but you also get to give back. And this is an incredibly important part of the cycle, which is about empowering others and giving to others so others can also learn and be supported on their journey. So there we have the 5 steps, and I want you to take a moment. I'll close the slide down in a moment and come back just the full screen version of me, which is always appealing. Is to check for yourself around, where do you think you are in this? And I'm sure in many ways in your life you will have hit the various stages of this in a smaller or greater way. But in your bigger life movie, the movie of your business, where are you? And therefore, what do you need to be doing at this stage right now with the phase that you are in, and in order to prepare for what is next and what is around the corner? So I'm going to close this slide down. I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to come back to me. And I think what's really important in every stage of the journey, I'm going to look at any questions and comments in a moment, is about this place of being able to ask for help and ask for what you need is incredibly important. And I think it's easy for us to fall into our thing and to follow the path and not necessarily ask for the help and realize that there's stuff that we just don't know. So starting to think about where you can ask for that help. For those of you that aren't in our BTFI group, we do #AskFriday every Friday, which is an opportunity to ask for help, ask for input, ask for support, ask for ideas, ask for feedback, sense check stuff, ask for connections. So if you're not in the BTFI group, why not? Is the question, why not? Come and join us. So there's people from corporates, entrepreneurs, movers, shakers, coaches, therapists, basically all lovely people that themselves want a kick up their backside and people to hold them accountable and support them and be their cheerleaders and advisors and confidants. But they also want to be able to give out to others. So if you're not in the group, come and join us. We'll pop the link in below. So I'm going to have a look at the comments. Don't think that I'm looking away at anything other than the comments. So I'm just going to whiz back a little bit. Bethan, so we're back to the whole life movie thing. Bethan's thinking Hairspray. Interesting. Sharon's thinking Shrek. Possibly more interesting. Bethan, genuinely, and that's got nothing to do with the profile pic. Getting out there invisible, making an impact. Yeah, nice. Like that. Hey, Tim's on. That's going in my journal to ponder on more. This is the oh shit zone. Do I really want this? Yeah, okay, so that's that piece. That's the test piece. Definitely the transformation stage. Sharon, I'd welcome a slap from the universe to wake me up. Sharon, we are all deeply connected to the universe. So if you want us to pass that slap on to you to wake you up, then let's talk. We can find a way. We can find a way to give you that slap. So, okay. So if you need a coach or a mentor, you can. We run the Limitless membership site. You can get a free month with that if that's what you feel is going to be the piece that just nudges you on and pushes you through. You can come and join us for a whole month free and start to get stuck into some of the learning and get stuck in with everything that comes with the Limitless membership site, except Bradley Cooper. He does not come with the Limitless site. Sorry, I can email you a picture of him if that convinces you to come and join. But the first month is free. We'll pop the promo code and the link in there, and you can go and join, and you can sign up, and you can have a month on us to have a sniff around and get a load of learning and insight. And there you go. At whatever stage you're on, that will help you significantly. So, okay, so if you've got any questions, folks, still post them. If you're on live, post them. If you're watching this on catch up, still post them, because I will respond to you. Hero's Journey is an incredibly powerful vehicle. Just let it sit, have a reflection on wherever, if you run a business or don't run a business, how does it play out and illustrate your life and the cycle of your life? Where are you in it? What is next? And what do you need in order to navigate the stage that you're at and to prepare for the stage that is ahead? That's it for me, folks, for tonight. Just to remind you that next Monday, we will be on next Monday, and we have the incredible, fabulous, world-class Richard Barrett, who is the founder of the Barrett Values Center and has spent the last 30 years working on values, consciousness within organizations, within communities, within countries. He's an extraordinary man, and I have no idea how I got him to agree to come and do a Facebook Live, but he is. We're going to have half an hour, 40 minutes with him on Monday. Tune in and watch it. You want to be there for this one, because the guy is just an incredible human being. So I feel incredibly blessed, and we'll probably spend the whole time going, yeah, whatever you say, because he is just quite an extraordinary man. We had a call a couple of weeks ago, and he is a cool dude. So get yourselves on. That's next Monday, the 24th at 8 o'clock. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have an extraordinary week. Look after yourselves. Big love, and I will see you on Monday. Okay, take care, folks. Bye. Bye-bye.